Story 1, Nuts and Bolts. Every time I get a new item that needs assembling, I keep the leftovers just in case. Now I have a ton of random nuts and bolts with very limited uses. I can't seem to throw them away. Story 2, Pinball Machines, over 100. It started when I bought one that did not work. I did not know how to fix it, but once I learned, it was fun. I started collecting them. Broken machines are often inexpensive to acquire. Story 3, Salt and Pepper Shakers. I guess 7 pairs isn't ridiculous for some niche collector, but I'm not one. Where the hell did they all come from? I have cows, sugar skulls, and goats. I don't need to shake that much salt and pepper. Story 4, Crafting Supplies. I am a serial crafter. I get very into a crafting hobby for a period of time, months, years, or sometimes weeks, and then I move on to the next craft. I usually buy supplies as if the hobby will be a lifelong passion. I am also an aspirational crafter. I see the potential in raw materials and feel compelled to buy them, but then I get lazy and the project never comes to fruition. In short, I have 2 separate hobbies: collecting crafting supplies and crafting. Story 5. I have empty boxes from my orders and will recycle them as soon as I decide I don't need them. Story 6. My wife signed us up for an Amazon Household Essentials subscription and overestimated how often we bought cotton swabs. A box arrived every month until I pointed out that using our stock of 20,000 cotton swabs would take a while. Thank you for the awards. I was not expecting this to blow up. Story 7. Houseplants are addictive. It is hard to stop buying, trading, or propagating them. I did not expect this to get so many responses. It is great to see so many other plant lovers. For plant trades, try the Take a Plant, Leave a Plant subreddit. I have also seen trades on the Nextdoor app and in community groups. My local plant store hosts plant swaps. Take a trimming, propagate it, and bring it to a swap to see who wants to trade. Story 8. Cables. There is an unwritten law of the universe. If you throw away a cable, you will need it within a month. Story 9. Rocks. I have a rock collection of precious stones, fossils, and other cool minerals. When I say my room shines purple because of all my amethyst clusters and points, I mean it. I am working on uploading pictures. I will showcase my favorites and link them here when I can. I am still having trouble with the pictures. Reddit will not load my recent photos. It only shows images from 2 years ago, and Imager has the same problem. Story 10. Moomin tea mugs. I have nearly 60, all different. My mother gave them to me for years in my advent calendar, and she got a bit carried away. Story 11. Tea. I worked in a tea shop and got an insane amount of loose-leaf tea for free. I have a cupboard filled with different flavors, hundreds of dollars worth for my own drinking pleasure. I probably have close to 40 different flavors, all in their own happy little tins waiting for the day I think, yes, a pure green tea sounds perfect today. Edit. I never thought my love of tea would earn me an award. Thank you kindly to everyone commenting, upvoting, and giving awards. I only had 1 award before today. I'm glad that, if any of my comments were to become popular, it's the one about tea. Peace, love, and tea for all. Story 12. Nerf darts. Postscript. I don't have any Nerf guns. Edit. Fun fact. I'm ordering a Nerf gun. Can hold around 50 darts. This is modified, by the way. Story 13. Coffee beans. I won a lifetime supply of gourmet coffee beans in a contest. Several pounds arrive each month, faster than I can use them. Some are stored in the freezer, and other bags are given to friends who can use them. Story 14. Bionicle sets take up about half of my personal storage space. Story 15. Chapstick and lip gloss. No matter where I am, there are always at least 10 somewhere around me. Story 16. Pennies are useless here in Canada, so I have nearly $1,000 in pennies. I collected them from banks when we stopped using them. I hope to make a penny floor once I find a house I can see myself turning into my forever home. Story 17. I have over 100 dresses. I buy them at thrift shops and donate them after wearing them a few times. It is a strange obsession. Story 18. Stringed instruments. 10 guitars, 2 basses, 2 banjos, 1 mandolin, and a few oddballs. Story 19. We moved during the pandemic. Everyone thought they were clever and sent us toilet paper as a housewarming gift. The first few packs were helpful and appreciated, but the many that followed were not. We have not bought toilet paper since May and still have more than 70 rolls. We could not finish unpacking because an entire closet is filled with toilet paper. Story 20. Pocket knives. My grandfather sold them at flea markets as a side hustle and gave them to his grandchildren as gifts. I have about 70. Mad magazines. I started collecting them in the 1980s. I have almost every issue published between 1970 and 1990, plus several others from before and after. Atari games. I had some as a child, and my older cousin gave me his collection when he started high school. I have about 80 unique cartridges, and I still own a working console. Old video games. I have a very large setup of disk operating system, DOS, and Windows games from the early 1980s through the mid-1990s that I play using DOSBox, disk operating system emulator, and a front end. At the last count, I had about 600 titles. I also have a separate setup of emulated arcade games from the same era using multiple arcade machine emulator, MAME, again several hundred playable titles. I have other collections as well, though none as large. Story 21. I collect fancy men's boxers. I used to work for Saks and always took home any samples or extra stock that was available. The rest of the staff stopped taking them when they had enough, but I kept loading up knowing I would not work there forever. 5 years later, I have a suitcase in my closet with about $2,000 worth of underwear that I plan to make last for the rest of my life unless I ever reach the point where I can afford to pay $30 for a pair of boxers. Story 22. Tabletop role-playing game books. I know someday I will find the perfect system for me. I need to back that Kickstarter, and that book looks nice too. Edit. Gosh, my first award. Thank you. I am honored. This feels like a level up. Story 23. I have pens and markers. I'm really artistic, so it makes sense. I also have a lot of books, but that's beside the point. Thank you, kind stranger, for the award. Story 24. I have rocks in my purse, in my car, and in my cabinets, stashed in every room of my house. I like them. Story 25. I have 1,044 unread physical books. I do not know how many are on my Kindle or why I own one. Story 26. I must own millions, possibly billions of grains of rice. Story 27. Bicycles. I firmly believe that n+1 is the appropriate number. Story 28. Squishmallows. Technically, they belong to my daughter, but I bought almost all of them. She has probably 30. We could get rid of her bed and she could sleep on them. She loves them all, and I would stop buying more, but they are so cute. Story 29. I collect Warhammer 40,000 armies. My wife hates that I started a hobby with lots of small pieces a few months before our first child was born. Story 30. Dice. I do not even play in any in-person tabletop role-playing games, so at this point I get them just to look pretty. Story 31. I go out to buy food and get spaghetti on sale even though I already have plenty at home. I end up using only half the pack for a meal. Why do I do this? Story 32. Dog toys. One of my dogs becomes obsessed with whatever new toy he gets and eventually destroys it. He rips toys apart, tears out the squeaker, or tries to eat them. Even the big, indestructible ones companies advertise, he finds a way to wreck. I do not throw them away because he is a lab mix and almost always carries a toy. When I get home, he drops one at my feet. When I feed him, he brings one to his bowl. At night, he grabs one and sleeps with it. He goes through moods. One day an old destroyed toy, the next a tennis ball, then a newer toy. Every few days I pick them up and put them in a box, which he promptly tips over and sifts through to find the toy he wants. It is annoying but adorable. Every time I am about to throw a toy away, he starts playing with it again. So here I am with about 50 toys, bones, and balls. Story 33. T-shirts. I simply cannot throw them out even if they do not fit anymore. Story 34. Graphic socks, meaning socks with designs rather than violent imagery. They are a bit pointless since no one will see them and I rarely go without shoes, but I have more than 50 pairs, ranging from Friday the 13th and Stranger Things to Brett the Hitman Hart and the Misfits. Story 35. Hair ties. I'm a woman married to a woman, and there has never been a shortage of them at my house. Story 36. I absolutely love shoes. I wear a women's United States size 8, which is common, so I can lend fancy pairs to friends who need them for a special occasion. I have given many pairs to women who needed them as part of a work uniform. I sort my collection once a year and donate pairs I never wore or no longer want. Someone will love them. While I do own high-quality shoes for work and Midwestern winter, most are inexpensive. Cute pairs I do not mind wearing only once to match an outfit or for a shoe-related confidence boost. I own one purse, dress simply, and my shoes are always the highlight of my outfit. Story 37. I used to own a lot of bouncy balls. I collected them as a kid. Anytime I saw a dispenser at a store or arcade, I would get a ball. My favorite was one shaped like an unidentified flying object or like the planet Saturn, and there was a really pretty green one. I loved to shake the box that held the collection because it sounded like thunder. I think I still have a fraction of the collection, but I do not remember where I put it. Story 38. Sweaters. Here is an album of all 162 of them. I realize a few are sweatshirts, but they have such huge sentimental value that I consider them equal. My goal is to eventually have enough to wear a different one each day of the year. Story 39. Lego. Far too much for someone approaching 30, but I am not stopping. Story 40. I have probably 40 guitar picks. I know where 3 of them are. Story 41. I have collared shirts. I would estimate I have about 300 to 400 of them. Some I wear to work, some I wear when I go out, some I wear when I play golf, and some are fancy while others are casual. It is a lot. I need to start getting rid of some. Story 42. My underwear no longer fits. It's too big. My bras miraculously still work. My husband is thrilled. Story 43. I'm a geologist, so field work always results in a few rocks being brought home. My dad has helped me move twice, and both times he ended up carrying boxes of rocks. What's in here, rocks? Yes, Dad, it's rocks. It's a meme in real life each time. Story 44. I ordered 100 pens on Amazon, but they sent me 100 boxes of 50 pens each. I now have 5,000 pens and I hide boxes of 50 pens in random places like at school or at my friends' houses. Sometimes I tease them about a gift I bought for them, saying how special it is, but it is always pens. They hate me. Story 45. Cheap little toys and figurines, the kind from capsule machines, one in arcades, included with meals, attached to kids' magazines, found in pound shops, or simply too cute. I cannot stop picking them up. They bring me so much delight. Whether it is a rubber shark with a leg sticking out of its mouth, a wind-up ghost, glow-in-the-dark dinosaurs, a small angry Godzilla, or those Star Wars action figures I picked up out of a 1-pound bin at a convention. I now have Chancellor Valorum and Chancellor Palpatine having a debate on my mantle. Story 46. I own nearly 1 million Lego bricks. Story 47. High-definition multimedia interface cables. You will never know when you need them. Also Gundams. Story 48. I have more than 70 board and card games. To me, it is a ridiculous amount. I have played almost all of them, but some were gifts from my wife and require more than 2 players, so we have not tried those yet. Story 49. These cat toys are all for my cats, but they only play with and fight over the same damn toy. They are like toddlers. Story 50. I keep a pair of reading glasses in every room of my house. I also have a couple at my workplace and a couple in my car, and so on. Story 51. I have about 2,300 bottles of nail polish. I know people who have over 6,000. Story 52. I collect globes. I find them in antique stores and buy them because they are from different years, so the details on each globe change over time. I'm a history geek, I guess. Story 53. Vintage shaving razors, not scooters. I have about 200. Story 54. Non-working technology. old computer towers, cords, a broken game console, and other items. I know I should get rid of them because fixing most is beyond my skill level. The first piece of technology one owned was a Nokia phone in 2008, not counting the family television and microwave. Some people understand what owning a Nokia brick in 2008 means. I have a slight obsession with technology and like to hold on to whatever I can get my hands on. Story 55. I have about 25,000 Magic the Gathering cards because I have been playing with family and best friends for 23 years. I am still collecting more, but my closet is getting full. Story 56. I have unpainted miniatures and books I have yet to read. I love to paint and read, but I always bite off more than I can chew when I enter a shop that feeds my hobbies. Story 57. Comfy fleece blankets, or as my husband and I call them, comfy breads. My mom buys each of us a fleece blanket every year and has for as long as I can remember. We take good care of them, so I probably have at least a dozen. Story 58. Dresses and gowns. I have well over 100 dresses in various sizes, colors, shapes, and styles. I have not worn most of them and probably never will. I keep them because they are pretty. Wine. While 100 bottles is not a large collection compared to other wine enthusiasts online, I am happy with my little hoard. Story 59. Video games have been a part of my life since first grade. I have kept almost every game and accessory I have ever owned. I own every Nintendo system with working controllers and cartridges. Manuals and boxes are hit or miss until the era of discs. I even have a Virtual Boy in storage. I got into arcade cabinets when time permitted. Now I have a Donkey Kong cabinet tucked away. I enjoy restoring them and learning the history of gaming. I still play modern games and I love them, but the 1980s to 1990s era of gaming feels magical to me. I am getting older, so I have much less time to play, but I look forward to the day my child tries to trash talk gaming with me. I will pull out Mega Man 2 and take their smartphone. See if you can beat that game when frequent crashes were basically part of the challenge, on top of a game that seems to resent you for playing. I do not often get to talk about this, so I am excited to share. Story 60. I keep hoarding notepads and pens and never get around to using them. Story 61. Handbags. My collection reached about 160 before I stopped counting. I am plus-sized and I love fashion. There is not much fashion in my size, so I gravitated to handbags, wallets, and luggage because size does not matter there. I started by hunting for very expensive bags at low prices in secondhand shops and yard sales. When eBay started, yes, I am that old, I bought a fake Kate Spade and was so angry that I stopped buying there. Nowadays I collect very rare bags. They sometimes make only 150 pieces of a certain style or color, so by buying directly I can be sure they are authentic. I have some antique pieces I love and some that were given to me by people who had no one else to give them to. I am like a homeless shelter for rescue purses. Story 62. Jackets and hoodies, about 30 in total, were hanging on the back of my living room door. I had to use 9-inch screws because the sheer weight kept pulling the door off its frame. Story 63. Right now I have a lot of cannabis. I grew a large amount over the summer and I do not have anything to do with it except smoke it or give it away. I made edibles, tincture, and infused oil. I still have a couple of pounds. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.